All right, welcome to the West Michigan Minute Podcast. It's not a minute long, but it is a podcast. And today we're talking about something that's a huge part of our community, local education, and specifically Holland Christian Schools, which I'm really excited about. As a lot of you may know, I'm an HC grad myself, so it's been a big part of my life. And now all of my kids either have gone through Holland Christian or in Holland Christian or will be going into Holland Christian. And I just have absolutely loved my experience with Holland Christian Schools. And today I'm joined with Leanne Halma. You want to tell us your title at Holland Christian Schools?
You bet, Kyle. First of all, thanks so much for having me today.
Yes.
And my title at the school is Director of Advancement.
Director of Advancement. That's awesome. And Leanne, you have had such an impact at Holland Christian, so I'm excited to just talk about that today. And we've gotten to know each other a lot through that as well, too, which is really exciting.
Sure have.
But I think we should first talk about how you actually had a career in real estate at one time. Is that right?
I did. That's a true story. So I have really bounced around over the years a little bit. Like you, I am also a Holland Christian graduate.
Yep.
And after I graduated from HC, I moved out to Northwest Iowa because when a girl wants to get away from home after she graduates, the first place you think is Iowa.
Absolutely.
You bet.
Right.
So I went to Dordt College. I met my husband, Wade, there, and we lived there for a couple of years. I started working for a community college when I was there. A couple of years later, we moved with his job to Pella, Iowa.
Okay.
And I started working for Central College when I was there, but also decided at some point to get my real estate license. And that was so much fun. I worked for a local office called Home Realty, and Mary was the broker there.
Okay.
She taught me a lot. I really loved it, really enjoyed what we were doing. And then we took another corporate relocation to Cincinnati, Ohio. And at that time, I thought, man, am I going to go after this again? Cincinnati is a beast of a community.
Yep.
It's over 2 million people, lots of suburbs. And I was new and thought, I better hang up my hat. I was also expecting our third child at that time. But I'm still I'm pretty sure that someday I'm going to pick that hat back up again. Yeah, it's an interest of mine still. I check Realtor.com every day of the week. I'm embarrassed to say that, but I love the housing market.
I love it. I love it. Well, I could see that you would be successful in real estate as well, too. Just your personality. You do well.
Well, hey, thanks. It was very enjoyable.
But for people who may not know, tell us, what does a Director of Advancement do?
Great question. So my primary part of my role is fundraising.
Okay.
Christian schools are very different from public schools in that we, first of all, rely on tuition dollars. Tuition dollars pay for our teacher salaries. They keep our lights on in the building. They take care of the general budget in a year. What tuition does not pay for, which a lot of people don't recognize, is all the other things that we are blessed by at the school. So that includes capital campaigns. We're in a capital campaign right now called Faithfully Forward. We might be able to touch on that a little bit more later.
Totally.
So that tuition assistance, where students get assistance to help pay for Christian education if their families can't afford to send them there.
Totally.
And a whole host of other things that we do at the school, too, are all funded by resources from donors in our community. So it's my job to connect with those people, work on building relationships with those people, and share with them about the mission and the vision of Holland Christian and see where they want to partner with us. I get asked a lot of times, how do you feel about asking people for money all day?
Yes.
And I don't actually feel like that's what I do.
Okay.
I think I have the opportunity to share with people the great work, what's happening at Holland Christian Schools, and invite them to be part of it. And if they choose to do that financially, that's amazing.
Totally. Well, I would add to that, I think a big part of your role is getting people involved in a variety of ways. Not always just financially, but yes, certainly financially is a big part of that as well, too. But
absolutely.
Yeah, you're a connector of people in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Yes, and I love that. In addition, I get involved in a lot of other things. My role often does delve into an operations side quite a bit.
Yep.
Once we get rolling in projects, I'm meeting with architects, I'm meeting with builders and other community partners, and making sure things are moving forward well. So those are both aspects of my job that I really enjoy a lot.
And I'm looking forward to talking about projects and things like that. That'll be a lot of fun. First, I would let's talk about school because it's summer break now.
You
right?
bet.
And so
yes.
probably actually maybe a blessing for your department because there's not as many kids running around in craziness. But what's the energy around school like this time of year?
It really changes.
Yeah.
You feel it when all of our teachers and students leave the building. And I miss them a lot when they're not there. Our office does stay throughout the summer, but it does give us an opportunity to settle back and shift into a different gear for the summer. Summer is a big planning time for the functions of the school that need to get ready for the next school year. And so that's what we're doing right now. And I enjoy the pace of the summer. It is still fun because we have a lot of kids coming onto the campus for camps and other opportunities. So we do still have some of that energy there. It's just in a different way.
I was there this morning doing basketball drop-off.
So good.
So great.
Yes.
So great.
So there's lots of kids still floating on, lots of parents.
Kids were still in the weight room lifting weights. Kids were doing all different kinds of stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a year-round campus, really.
It is a year-round campus, and we want it to be, right? It is a place where we connect as a community.
Yep.
Holland Christian is a community here within West Michigan, and we're grateful to have people there during all seasons.
Totally. I love that. Love that. Well, what I kind of want to talk about is just the pulse of Holland Christian as a whole.
Sure.
How is HC continuing to evolve, while keeping its faith foundation, the biggest part?
Yeah. A lot has changed over the years. I'm a graduate of 1999. When I graduated from HC, I had to go to a computer lab to send out an email.
Okay. Yeah. Same. I can relate.
You can relate.
Totally.
Okay. So it's very different.
Yeah.
Now all kids are one-to-one, for example, with technology, whether that's an iPad or whether that's a MacBook. And so things like that have changed a lot over the years. Yeah. We're actually starting to scale back a little bit on technology right now. So when you ask the question of, how are we faithful within change? I think for a Christian school, a lot of it is to recognize that as educators, we're also learning every day.
Totally.
When there was a big boom in technology, we really felt like it was important to be on the forefront of what was happening and get out there. And we were grateful for the support of the community who helped us do that.
Where every kid had like a one-to-one laptop, I think, right? You were
bet.
one of the first Apple schools, I think, even,
we
right?
We were, and very proud of that. But now we're learning some of the impacts of technology on this young generation.
Totally.
And so we're learning with that. And it's our responsibility that as we learn things to make changes, to make shifts, and make sure that we can be the best place for education that we can be for all students.
On that note, actually, because I don't know if everybody knows this, but I think at the high school, middle school, and elementary, it's different policies, but like you actually have rules against like technology, personal technology, right? Like cell phone use.
We do. That was implemented a few years ago. The change happened when I had kids in the high school where they could no longer use phones in the high school.
Yep.
I remember one of my kids being like, "Oh, this is so unfair. We can't use our phones anymore." But as a mom, I was thinking, no, this is sweet.
Totally.
And very quickly, there were a couple things that we noticed. One, the kids actually really loved it. I think when kids are told to put the technology away, there's actually an anxiety that goes away with that when it's not available. The second thing that we noticed in the high school in particular was the amount of noise that we had in the hallway. It went up significantly because kids were interacting.
Totally.
When you can't stare at your phone, when you can't just text, when you can't be on Snap during the day, you have to interact with your peers. And that's a great thing. And so that has really been a blessed change for the school. For any schools that haven't followed suit on that, I would really encourage them to. I was also really grateful that our parent community was so supportive of it. Yeah.
And I think the school as a whole has really embraced that. Like, as a whole, everybody's like, we understand why, we approve of it.
Yes.
And I actually was in the hallway, maybe a month ago, and saw the kids during break, and there was literally kids everywhere, and all they were doing is talking with each other, which is a rare sight to see nowadays.
It is.
Everybody's usually on their device now or whatever, and that's just not the case. And I think that's really cool. And
it's even great when kids have an opportunity to get bored, right?
Yeah.
That's something that our current generation hasn't experienced as much. And there's
Totally.
a lot of creativity that's built in being bored. And there's actually relationships that form in being bored. One story that I have from this past school year is there was a group of 5 junior boys that one day during their lunch hour, they were done with their conversation and they were like, hey, let's just go explore the school a little bit. The administration office is kind of tucked back in the way back corner of the high school, and a lot of them had never been there. That's not atypical for a student to not go as far as the admin office. But they decided to come on in. These boys are friends with my daughter. Okay. They ended up coming to my office, and we ended up chit-chatting during lunch. It was on a Thursday. It was early in the school year. And since then, they have decided every Thursday to come visit me at lunchtime. And it is my absolute favorite time of the week. I'm always so bummed when I miss them because I get to hear about what's going on with them. I get to hear about their spring break plans. I just get to be involved in all this conversation with these 17-year-olds who I wouldn't have otherwise interacted with. And honestly, I don't know if they would have ever come for that first visit if they could have been on their phones.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great story. What is it that families are looking for right now compared to years ago in the education space?
I think a lot of families are looking for a personalized education that fits what their family's needs are. And we've seen Holland Christian make some moves in some different directions. First of all, one thing that we offer on our north side of town at Rose Park, where your kids have gone through, is Spanish immersion. And there's some families who look for something that's a little bit more niche like that, where a student can learn another language starting already in their early years of school. Another area where Holland Christian was really in the forefront was outdoor education. I've got to tip my hat to Miska Reinsberger. I feel like she was the brainchild behind this idea.
Totally.
Our forest school started without a classroom. They were literally just kind of in the woods and using an extra classroom in our middle school. And so much thanks to the parents and the families that just trusted Holland Christian in this process as we were learning and growing in the forest.
Totally.
And that program has just boomed. We now have 4 cabins of learners on our main campus on Ottawa Avenue. We have 70 acres that has been donated to us over the years with another classroom out in Lake Town Township.
Which is incredible.
Such an incredible blessing and gift. So excited about that. And then we most recently acquired a home with some property that's kind of tucked in the middle of Walters Woods. We're calling that property Cedar Creek and starting a Y5 program out there this fall. And you just see this explosion that's happened in less than a decade. And I can't wait to see where it continues to go.
Totally.
Yes.
Y5 meaning young 5, so young kiddos in the forest.
Thanks for that clarification.
Which is cool.
Young 5s has gotten really popular.
Yeah.
A lot of parents choose to do a 3-year-old program, a 4-year-old program, continue in Young 5s if their kids are on the younger end of a grade, and then go into kindergarten.
We've done both, and I see the merit in it as well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the outdoor education piece as well is just absolutely incredible. Like having those kids be... Sometimes they're in mud or whatever, right? Just whatever the weather may be, they may be in it that day, which I think is great.
It is. It's amazing.
What is it that makes HC attractive to new families?
Oh, man. There's a lot of things.
Relocating families, I should clarify.
Yeah. If a family is relocating to West Michigan, I think from the information that we find out from families, one of the first things that attracts them to Holland Christian is a family who's looking for a faith community in their education.
Totally.
And Holland Christian has been so faithful in that, and we have not drifted from our mission. And so if a family is looking to be in a partnership with their home, with their church, and with their school, we want them to come to Holland Christian, and we want them to come through our doors, check us out, see what we're all about, and to join our community.
Totally.
So I think that's the first thing. I think all of our different offerings are another great reason why people want to check out Holland Christian.
Yep.
I think the Holland Christian community as a whole is just an amazing community to be a part of. I just think about the relationship that we have. I don't even know how we first met, but when you have kids at HC, it gives you a starting point to have a conversation.
Absolutely.
And it's just been so cool to build a relationship with people in the Holland Christian community.
Totally.
We are also blessed with just a ton of amazing sports and co-curriculars. There's so much for kids to be involved in. And when they're at the school, and children involvement creates parent involvement, which creates community.
Totally. Well, and I can tell you from firsthand experience, being in real estate, we work with a lot of people moving to the area.
Sure.
We've had numerous people that are moving here to be at Holland Christian Schools.
Yes.
And I think they've all mentioned a variety of those reasons why they want to be in this community. Oh, and I think it's a great community. Holland as a whole is just an amazing community.
It is.
And Holland Christian's a big part of that as well too, right? And so pretty incredible to see what the institution has done over, how many years has Holland Christian been around?
So this coming school year is a very exciting year for Holland Christian. We are going to be celebrating our 125th anniversary.
Right, 125. I knew it was coming up.
So
next year.
Half the amount of time that the United States has been in existence.
Right.
Holland Christian has been here too.
Crazy to think about, which is, it's just incredible. Tell me a little bit about, so we'll switch kind of into your role specifically, about advancement.
Yes.
What does that really mean as far as just as it relates to Holland Christian?
Yeah. So as I mentioned before, because we are not a government-funded institution, my role is really connecting with the community and reaching out to people and creating partnerships and having people get involved with the school in a different way.
Yep.
I was actually, when you invited me out to come and do this podcast with you today, I was thinking about an experience we had a couple of years ago that I think is such a great example of this. So hopefully I'm not embarrassing you by tooting your horn here a little bit.
Sure.
But we had an opportunity. So Kyle, are you on the ODC board?
I'm on the board of Outdoor Discovery Center.
Yes. Yep. And through your connection to the Outdoor Discovery Center, you had reached out to me at one time and said, hey, there is an opportunity where Holland Christian could build an outdoor playscape.
Yep.
We had already built a barn at Rose Park, and you saw it as a great opportunity as an extension of that, not only for play, but also for learning.
It's true.
So you had come into the office, had a conversation. Not only did you have an idea, you came in early with some people who were willing to help support the idea, but we still had a ways to go. We had a couple $100,000 that we had to go on the project yet.
Yeah.
But what was so cool about that partnership to me was you offered to join me on all the visits to make it happen, because I think we had to let the Outdoor Discovery Center know in like 30 days whether or not we were a yes.
We had to know we were fully funded in 30 days.
Yes. And so you and I went on the trail and started contacting people. We made visits to people's homes. We got a lot of great yeses.
Yep.
We got some no's, but I even remember one of the specific no's that we got. We learned from that person what was their interest. And so now someday, if their area of interest is an opportunity at Holland Christian, I know that I can tap them on the shoulder again, because one part of my job is realizing that no today isn't no always. It's just about partnering people with the right things.
Yep.
And so that was just a really fun experience. And that's kind of the thing that I get to do every day is create those partnerships and those unique opportunities. And it's really fun when somebody comes on the ride with me.
Absolutely. That was an incredible experience, and on a small scale of some of the other things you guys have done, but it was really cool to see just how something like that can happen.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And spoiler alert, we did get the playground.
We did get the playground.
And
Absolutely.
it's really a great space.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that. That was a fun project. That was cool. And I was glad to be a small part of that. Tell us a little bit about, I think one thing people don't understand is, Christian school is paid for with tuition, right? And first of all, tuition doesn't cover all these fun projects or buildings or whatever. Tuition just covers the daily operating, right?
Absolutely.
So you still have to raise funds outside of that for all the other things that occur, school, property maintenance, all that stuff, really kind of, right?
Yes.
To some degree. And I think some people worry, I don't know that I can afford Christian education.
Yeah.
To some degree too. I know you have things for that, but maybe you could explain that a little bit.
Yes, and I think that's a huge part of the story that we want to do a better job of getting out to our West Michigan community is we want Holland Christian to be accessible for families that want to be in this partnership with us. And there are so many ways in which we do that. We have our tuition structure, but our families have a lot of opportunities to bring the amount that their tuition is due down. If anybody has been in the Holland community for a while, you're probably familiar with the store Ditto. It's over on H Street. And Ditto is a partner of Holland Christian and Leanne Christian Schools, and they provide a grant to students every year to help pay for tuition. That grant is available to everybody, regardless of need. In addition, Holland Christian has two other grants. One is called our Foundation Grant from the Holland Christian Education Foundation. And then we also have a special grant that was developed about 3 years ago called the Go Ahead Grant. Both of those are available to all families regardless of need and help reduce their tuition.
Yep.
We also have a multi-child discount. So if you send multiple kids there, tuition gets less expensive as we go. We help subsidize some of that expense. And then last but definitely not least is our tuition grant fund.
I was going to say the tuition grant fund is the thing I get very excited about.
Yes, the tuition grant fund, we raise over $1 million annually, and that money is given to families with demonstrated need. So that is one where you do have to show that you have need, but we can help with up to 50% of your tuition through the tuition grant fund. I think one thing that's maybe a false idea in the Holland community is that you have to be of a certain level of means to Holland Christian and that most people coming to Holland Christian don't receive assistance. And it's actually the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
We do have families that gift back their grants and say, hey, our family doesn't need this. Let this stay with the school and let it bless the school in other ways. But about 90% of our families or more are taking some level of assistance from the school. And so you're not in the minority if you're receiving assistance to come to Holland Christian.
Absolutely. And it's there for that reason, really. They want to be approachable to everybody.
Absolutely.
And some people take more assistance than others, and that's okay.
Yes,
right? Yeah.
And the people who are giving the money, they want it to be a blessing to this community.
Absolutely. I think I think everybody would say they want everybody to be able to have the opportunity to go to Holland Christian, right? Or to have that type of experience for their child.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's really neat. One of the things I love is campus improvements, future plans.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have a lot of fun stuff in the works, I feel like.
Oh, there's a lot going on right now. But it's great. It's in such a good way. There is going to be so much movement on our campus this summer. When you talk about the pulse of campus this summer, just watch out for the construction trucks.
Oh, man.
So
how exciting.
Yes, it's great. So Holland Christian is in a campaign right now. Our campaign is called Faithfully Forward. And one of the major components to the campaign we're actually kicking off this summer because it is fully funded, and that's the renovation of Southside Elementary. Mm-hmm. Southside Elementary has been one of our buildings, I think, for about 70 years now, and it hasn't had a renovation in quite a long time. And so that is happening this summer. We just had our groundbreaking last week, which was a great event, and we're excited to get started on that building.
Yep.
In addition to that, we're currently putting up all new wayfinding signage around campus. So things are going to look just really beautiful outside for this next upcoming school year as we go into our 125th anniversary. We are also working on Cedar Creek. That's that property that I told you about out at Walters Woods. And that will be finished for next school year. We are building one more building over by our forest school cabins. It's going to be a support building. It's going to provide an administration office, a teacher workroom, an ESS workspace. We've got some very much needed parking lot improvements coming this summer, both to our Northside High School campus and also to Pine Ridge. Man, I think that's most of it, but it's a lot of moving parts.
Oh, man. Well, and you guys have done security improvements, different kinds of stuff too, right?
Yep, and we're still going. So the Faithfully Forward campaign is going to continue to cover more security improvements, more nature-based learning opportunities on more of our campuses.
Yep.
Some more infrastructure for our Sassafras Ridge campus out in Laketown Township, a variety of other things. So we still got a long ways to go, but we're excited to keep the momentum moving forward.
Maintenance you need to do on a regular basis, right? That,
yes.
Again, tuition doesn't cover, so you have all people kind of providing for that, right?
Yes.
So it's really cool. Talk about the role local businesses play. Like we've done the business and industry drive together, right?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about local businesses and community players and how that works supporting the school.
Yeah. So our local businesses here in West Michigan, I just could not be more grateful for this community. I cannot not imagine that there's many communities that are like West Michigan and like Holland in particular.
Totally. Yeah.
I just feel like there's so much care that people have that they give not only through their financial gifts, but also, like you mentioned, the business and industry drive. It's a drive that we do every fall. We go out to local businesses. We have a bunch of volunteers that go out in one day. We bring our world famous cinnamon rolls to them.
Yeah.
We thank them for their support and ask them to consider future giving. And that day alone raises about $150,000 for the school. It's just incredible that that gets done in a morning. But beyond that, just the way our local businesses even help us with what we call gift in kind work. You often see people doing projects on campus, and the amount of times that we get an invoice, and then at the bottom of the invoice, it's a big donation taken out of it, or all of it's taken care of from that company. It's just amazing how people partner with us, and we just couldn't be more grateful for it.
Yeah, I think it's amazing how people aren't just investing in buildings or helping you guys invest in buildings, but it feels like they're building leaders, future leaders in the community.
I think, to your point, Kyle, what you're saying there is when we look at Holland Christian going on to its 125th year, for you and I who have kids there today, I just think of all the generations that have made Holland Christian what it is for my family today. And we are just standing on the shoulders of so many people before us. And when I'm working for Holland Christian in the role that I'm in, and even as our family thinks about giving to Holland Christian Schools, I feel like I have a responsibility not just to my children, but I have a responsibility to the children yet to come. Because in 125 years from now, I want Holland Christian to be flourishing just like it is today.
Absolutely. I love that. When that kind of takes me to my next point too, which is we talk to a lot of people on a weekly basis that are thinking of moving to West Michigan. They want a great place to raise their kids. They want a community that's going to be very supportive. How does a strong school system like Holland Christian impact the broader community?
That's such a great question. And I think one thing that we talk about sometimes in meetings, and one thing that I try to keep at the forefront of my work, and a lot of us in terms of the leadership at Holland Christian, is the question of what would be different in Holland, or how would Holland feel? Would they recognize the impact if we weren't here? And that's actually a pretty deep question to consider, right? Like if we didn't have student volunteers going out and being part of this community right now today, would the Holland community feel it if our current students weren't here? If our teachers weren't making the impact on the lives of the students who go home to their families and partner with them, what would our families, how would that be different? The way that we're raising up future Christian leaders for tomorrow, how would this community know if Holland Christian weren't here? Because if there would be no difference, we're not serving our purpose.
Totally.
And I think that's
a big question.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, it's not just a question for Holland Christian. That's a great question for any business. I think it's a question for any individual to really consider, what impact do I make? Why has God put me here? What is my purpose, and how am I fulfilling that? I have a friend, his name's Arlen. And about every time I meet with Arlen, he talks to me about the 1,440 minutes that we have in a day.
Really?
Yes. And how do we use those for the kingdom impact of God?
Yeah.
And I think it's really changed some of my perspective, because I used to think about days, or I used to think about hours. But when you break that down to minutes, right? How am I using my time to glorify God? Now, let's give it. I give about a third of those minutes to sleep.
Yep.
But with the other 2/3, am I being so intentional with my time that when I look back at the end of my day, that I can say I used my 1,440 minutes in the best way to glorify God? And I think
I'm rethinking my whole life right now. That is a great question, right? For an organization, for an individual, for business, like you said. Yeah.
But you know what, Kyle? Again, I'm going to embarrass you here and toot your own horn. But when you can look at your life, I think what I see in you is somebody who invests in the community with your business. You are somebody who gives financially in capacities that you can.
Yep.
You are somebody who gives of your time. Like I talked about, you go on knocking on door to door and raising money with me.
Totally.
But even I've seen you at events where we're cleaning up and the event is done. It wasn't your event to plan or take care of, and you stay and you're there cleaning up.
Totally.
And those are the ways that I think anybody can say, how can I give in a day? How can I be involved? How can I help further the kingdom of God? How can I be part of organizations that help create impact?
Yeah.
So thanks for the way you do that.
I appreciate that. Kudos. Well, and I think about Holland Christian in that question, and I think about my experience. RVL, one of the Bible teachers that's there, has had a huge impact on my life.
Mine too.
A lot of the teachers there have had a huge impact on my life. But RVL just as an amazing Bible teacher, and then I ended up being able to go to Israel and Turkey with him. And as an 18-year-old, I don't think I appreciated that as much as I should have. But being able to, as I read the Bible today, to just like be able to picture all those things in real life has been an incredible gift. But Holland Christian too, just the way they shaped my way of thinking in business class and even just math, and like the way that like you can apply the Bible to all different aspects of learning is pretty incredible, I feel like, right?
It is incredible. And I think that's another thing that I hope people realize about Holland Christian if they're thinking about it but haven't ever toured and sent their kids there. But like you mentioned, it's not just the Bible classes. The Bible classes are so impactful.
Yeah.
But that faith-based education is brought into everything that you learn. So it's not separated from math. It's not separated from science. It's not separated from history. And when you can look at the whole world in that frame, it really changes things.
I believe that firmly, right? And that is, I think, what makes this school unique is how they apply it to everything.
Yes.
Right?
And that's to just a hat tip to our teachers. We have so many incredible teachers and staff. I always tell people I have the easiest job on campus because I just get to go around and tell people about the amazing things that are happening.
Totally.
And the amazing things that are happening are the teachers in the classroom with the students because that's where the real action is going on.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know how they do it on a daily basis. I've sat in a few classes this year, and kudos to those teachers.
Yeah, exactly.
Who manage all these adolescents on a daily basis. And they do it with such grace and with such, with the heart of God, I feel like, too, right? And everything that they do. And I just think it's so incredible. Anyway, on that note, too, but the partnership with parents, churches, I don't know if you want to touch on that a little bit as well.
Yeah, I think it's just an important piece. None of us raise our kids alone, right? People often talk about raising their kids in a village, but Holland Christian, we really talk about the three-legged stool. And that three-legged stool to us is a partnership of home, church, and school.
Yep.
And if you remove one leg from a stool, it's not going to stand. And so it's just really important that it is a partnership between all three of us. We all have our different responsibilities in that. A few years ago, I think it was in 2022, Holland Christian invited a speaker. His name was Chap Clark to come talk at Holland Christian. And he wrote a book, I think it's called Sticky Faith, and talked about the importance of having 5 influential people in your life to make faith stick. And oftentimes you have pastors, you have youth pastors, you have parents, maybe grandparents. But having the opportunity to have your children for 8 hours a day, that's a lot of their minutes. It's a lot of those 1,440 minutes.
It's a long time.
With people who are also invested in making sure that your child's faith sticks. That's a pretty big deal.
That is a huge deal. Yeah. Well, I think that is there's another point here about the long-term impact that education has on local communities. And I feel like that ties in with that well, too. Just how these teachers are affecting all these students, and they're going to impact the community as well, too. What is the long-term impact education has on local communities and businesses?
Oh, absolutely. I think just the way that we develop Christian leaders, that is going to make an impact for the future, certainly.
Yeah.
Holland Christian's mission is equipping minds and nurturing hearts to transform the world for Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a pretty powerful mission, but
It
I
is.
believe in that mission. I think an important piece of that mission, though, is when you think about equipping minds and nurturing hearts, everybody thinks about that in the terms of education of what's happening right now. But that last piece of to transform the world for Jesus Christ, that's a daily and present activity as well.
Totally.
It's not something that's happening in the future. It's something that's ongoing, and it's ongoing in the community with people who have already been formed and shaped, but also with our students who are being formed and being shaped. We're
Yep.
all part of transformation every day.
Totally.
And so when we are part of God's transformative work in the world, our impact, as long as we're faithful, will be there.
Absolutely. Amen to that. That covers most of the topics I had.
All right. Well,
That I was thinking of. But
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to ask you, you touched on RVL a little bit, but tell me about another favorite teacher you had when you were at HC. Give somebody a shout out.
I'm terrible with names.
Okay, that's all right.
Oh, my business teacher in high school. This is totally not planned, so I have to think through this.
That's
here a
okay.
minute.
You gave me
But,
you gave me an outline. I didn't give you one.
So I'm drawing a blank on his name right now because I can't think right now. But I had a very influential business teacher who taught us accounting, taught us all different kinds of things. I then went on to learn that in college, but that individual did a great job of teaching us just how to be stewards of what we've been given,
Mhm.
and like not financially, but more even just like gifts that God gave us, right? And like how to apply that in life.
Yes.
And I'm going to think of it after this right away, but that individual did a great job of just being impactful in my life. And Mr. Strickwood, actually, in middle school,
Oh,
Tom
yeah.
Strickwood
Yes.
was my 7th grade teacher, I want to say. Is that right? And 7th or 8th grade, I can't remember now. But I remember just the impact that he had on my life as well. And those middle school years are tough years.
They are.
Right? And he was a guy I could look up to as a adolescent male. And he had this element of being cool and fun, but also being serious too.
Yes.
And he did a great job. I felt like of just for some, like I struggled a little bit in middle school, just feeling like maybe I was a part of things, if you will. And he did a great job of bringing me in and like just being a great role model in
Sure.
my life as well. So I had a lot of great teachers, but those are two that kind of stick out, if you will, in addition to RVL, who was also a great teacher.
It's always great when people can have that impact adults. I am thinking back to my son when he was in high school. I think he
Yeah.
actually reached out to you because he has a lot of interest in entrepreneurship
Yep.
and wanted to get some advice. And I really appreciated the time that you spent with him back then.
Totally.
If you could give advice to a young kid, sometimes when you're in middle school, high school, you kind of think you know everything, but it's great to get some advice. What advice would you give somebody?
Ashton, I had a great time working with Ashton over the years. So good advice. Well, first of all, I actually know just from watching some of my peers, they like started businesses in high school and they did a variety of different things even while we were at Holland Christian. I don't think you're ever too young to, and actually Ashton started like a car detailing business.
Still
hasn't he?
doing it.
Still
Check
doing
out
it.
Halma Detailing.
Halma detailing. I think that you have so many unique gifts and the school is there to help you learn and to use those gifts,
Mhm.
right? You're never too young to try something new. Frankly, had I known I could do real estate at 18, who knows what I would have done if I started right out of the gate, But obviously all the things that led up to where I am today were great as well too. But I think, life advice would just be the teachers that you have probably are more right than you think they are about certain things. Your parents are probably more right about things than you think they are. And so, just listen to those around you. They have good advice, and don't be afraid to try things when you're younger.
That's great. I would agree. Try
Yeah.
everything you can, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure.
I don't know if that answers your question. Or
No,
not.
it does. It's great.
But yeah, Leanne, such a great time having you on the podcast today.
Yeah, this has been fun.
Thank you for sharing all about your role at Holland Christian, even your past real estate experience, which is awesome. But we're really excited for HC and what's happening in the next years to come. And we're just thrilled to have you on today to share about that.
Well,
So,
thanks for being a part of it. We
thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Yep. And that is the West Michigan Minute. Thanks for joining us.